Myoho Renge Kyo, Myoho Renge Kyo, Myoho Renge Kyo.
Okay, and so we're here with Esther, and she's going to give her take on some quotes that I sent her from the founder of our Buddhism and the founder of the Soka Gakkai International. Welcome aboard, Esther.
Thank you.
So why don't do you have the quotes handy so you can read them?
Yep, they're on my phone.
Okay, great. Okay, well, why don't you start out with the first one and read it?
Okay, so August 19th. Thank you is the essence of nonviolence. It contains respect for the other person, humility, and the profound affirmation of life.
Okay, so what'd you get out of that?
So for me, what I got out of it is to avoid violence as much as possible in life. I mean, I don't believe that violence is the answer at all. But to avoid it, we need to have respect for other people and their lives and how they live that way. So saying thank you as much as possible is our way of appreciating them and appreciating their way of life and how they live it. And I feel like for us to say that, it's for them to be okay with the way they live their lives.
Being tolerant of other people would you say being tolerant and respecting diversity?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely what our organization focuses on is we're in our Buddhism, we're saying that, one of the main tenets of our Buddhism is that every single person contains the world of Buddhahood.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really, and we're all connected. That world of Buddhahood is the same world of Buddhahood that's in you is the same world of Buddhahood that's in me. So if we are like disrespecting somebody else, we're really disrespecting ourself in a way. Does that
Agreed.
make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I made a little note to myself on this same quote, and I've just noticed that, like, I've been on kind of a kick lately where I say thank you, like all the time. I'm just in my mind, I'm just saying thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you all the time. Kind of like not only for what, the life that I've lived so far, but also the life that I'm going to have. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm so used to just saying it over and over in my mind that and I find it especially helpful, like if I'm going through like a really stressful situation where things are not really going my way. And I just start saying thank you, thank you, thank you in my mind. And it really keeps me balanced. It keeps me from going off on a really negative direction. So I just thought I would share that.
Yeah, no, that's a very good way to keep negativity out of your life is being grateful for every little thing.
Yeah. Okay, well, cool. So why don't we go ahead and read the next one?
August 20th says, a person filled with gratitude is also filled with joy, and a joyous spirit is the driving force for new endeavors, development, victory, and happiness.
Okay, and what'd you pick up out of that one?
So I think gratitude and joy kind of plays hand in hand with having a full life, being happy and having that gratitude is what keeps us going to have a good life. It keeps us out of that negativity space, kind of helps keep our goals on track. And in some instances, it does help us reach those goals. And as humans, we have that urge to feel fulfilled and having a fulfilled life.
Definitely.
So, if we're being joyous and being full of gratitude, we're going to not only make an impact on our lives, but also the impact of the world around us.
And you feel like it having that joyful attitude, I think I heard you say that it sort of like moves things along.
Yeah, because like if you're not being joyful about the things you do, you kind of just get stuck in like a negativity feedback loop where you're just kind of going around in a circle. Your wheels are just spinning but not going anywhere.
Mhm. Can you give me an example of how that's played out in your life?
Um, the way I see it is that when I get like super down and super negative about my life, and I just am just not doing the things that bring me joy, um, I just kind of feel like my life is not progressing. And I just kind of feel like I'm just stuck in that loop. Like I said, like that negativity loop of just, oh, because I'm not doing, I enjoy baking. It brings me a lot of joy. So when I don't bake, I just kind of seem like I'm just down in the dumps and I'm just not progressing my life. I'm not progressing my skills as a baker. Um, so that's kind of the way I see it.
Isn't that interesting that you find you get so much joy out of baking? But
I love it.
it doesn't really matter, what people find joy in. It's the fact that, for you, that's something that brings out your joy. And that joy
Mhm.
is very powerful, isn't it?
Very much so.
Yeah. I have noticed that, like this whole thing of like these affirmations and just trying to keep myself in a really high life condition all the time. Like, so with our practice, like my Buddhist practice, so in the morning we chant this phrase, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, right? And it
Hmm.
means devotion to the mystic law of cause and effect. But ever since I first started chanting it, I don't really know why exactly, but as I chant it, like my mind sort of calms down, and and if I was in a bad mood, eventually, like sometimes it may take 15 minutes, a half an hour, even an hour of chanting, but all of a sudden my mood just lifts. And
Hmm.
so I found it very helpful throughout the years to be able to sort of become sort of joyful on command, like I can bring it out with my own practice, from my own volition. And now lately, I've tried to take that same thing like throughout the day. That's why I was telling you about these affirmations, these thank you affirmations. And I do other ones now too. I'm doing like, I quit drinking recently. So another one is I'm sober, successful, and very happy. So I'm just saying that all the time, like on my way to work. But it's really interesting because as you like repeat these affirmations, there's less and less room in your mind for negativity to sort of take hold and grow. And
Hmm.
then, when I get home at night, then we do our evening, what we call evening gongyo, and we chant and we recite part of the Lotus Sutra, and that's our evening gongyo. So it's this constant rhythm of refreshing our positivity, bringing out the best in ourselves. And I feel like with our practice, like, do you think we all have like a higher self?
I agree. So, yeah,
Yeah.
there's always a better version of ourselves.
Yeah. So my thinking on it now, and I've been doing this a long time, and my thinking has sort of changed over the years as I've, done it. I've been doing this for about 35, 36 years now. And but now I kind of think of we connect with our Buddha nature, right? That's the Buddhism way of saying it. But the way I see it is our higher self, our Buddha nature, is the thing that's connected to like the whole, like the quantum field, like this thing that's just pure love. And then we are like physical expressions of that, but we're down here on this earth, and we're having this earthly experience where there's all this contrast, and we're here for a reason. We're here to grow and develop ourselves and, contribute to the whole and that sort of thing. But I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm just kind of rambling.
No, I mean, I agree. We're meant to be here for a reason.
But it's very interesting to sort of be able to like consciously And I really do believe that we create our reality with our vibration, not only our thoughts, but how we feel. And the happier we feel, it just seems to bring more and more things that make us happier and happier. So don't stop baking. Get up in the morning and bake.
I bake almost every day, and if it's not every day, it's every other day.
Okay. What's your specialty?
I'm really good at cookies. Right now I'm on a cake kick right now.
Oh,
So I've made about 5 or 6 cakes in just the last 2 weeks.
I see. And then what is your goal? Are you going to be a professional baker or
No, it's just it makes me happy.
to bake? Okay.
Yeah, and it's when I feel like my life is out of control or I'm super stressed, it kind of centers me.
Mhm.
And it's something I can control. And so it just kind of, reminds me that sometimes like the heat in the oven is something I can't control. I mean, I can control it to a point, but
Mhm.
ovens have a mind of their own. And, with the temperatures and the weather, altitude, everything kind of applies to the baking. And that's all out of my control. And I can still get the outcome I want, even though I can't fully control it.
Interesting. So you feel like it's a little bit of a challenge for you to like take this on and have success with it. And
A little bit, yeah. I see, some, especially when I try something new, I get a kick out of trying to figure out the science behind it.
yeah, interesting. So like remember I said we do our evening gongyo. So gongyo means assiduous practice, like a daily practice or something that's a continuous practice. So mine is my chanting and reciting the Lotus Sutra. Yours is your baking, you know.
Very much so.
That's your gongyo. Your baking is your gongyo. So,
Mhm.
well, this is good stuff. So I guess we better read another one and see what we think about it.
Okay, so August 21st says some people chase after fame and recognition and lose themselves in the process. The essential thing is to look closely at ourselves and develop ourselves. Herein lies the key to true fulfillment, victory, and happiness. Um, that that really spoke to me because I do my modeling and um I'm not like a big name, but I do have a name. And sometimes I feel like because I do have that big name, you know, I do sometimes lose myself and I get really stressed because it's no longer a creative outlet for me. It's become more of a job. Um, and so like every time it no longer brings me happiness, I take a break. I kind of just step away, do my baking, do whatever makes me happy, read a book. It may be a week, it may be a month. But I figured out that, if I do something that makes me happy, that's true to me and not just a job. Um, I feel more fulfilled with my life than just being in front of that camera and doing the same poses I do every time I work. And I feel like a lot of people forget that because they
Hmm.
want that fame, they want that easy money, and they just kind of tend to forget who they are at the core.
Yeah. Yeah, I find it interesting that you're in touch with that. I would say your spiritual side, you're not just focused on, the money and that, and you are trying to do it for reasons that give you genuine fulfillment. And you're really in tune with that. I
Hmm.
think that's cool.
Well, if I don't enjoy it, why should I do it? Or, like if it doesn't bring me happiness and peace and it just causes more stress and negativity in my life, I don't need that. So,
Oh, I totally get it, but not everybody understands that. There's a lot of
yeah.
people making tons of money doing things that they can't stand doing, and they're totally miserable. So
Very much so.
it's interesting to me that you are so sort of in tune with that. I would say that's very Buddhist of you, to be in tune with being happy. That's in Buddhism, we say the whole goal of Buddhism is to be happy.
And that's just the thing. You can't please everyone. And I used to be a people pleaser, and it was just making me very miserable. And one day I just kind of woke up and was like, why am I trying so hard to please every person in the room or every person in my life? I need to make me happy. Because if I'm not happy, then I'm just going to make everyone around me miserable because
Mm,
I'm miserable.
yeah.
And so that's just kind of how I live my life now. I'm like, I'm sorry, can't make you happy, but I'm happy. That's all that matters.
Well, that's true. And, there's a concept in Buddhism called the oneness of the person and their environment. And basically, it says that your environment is going to be a reflection of you.
Hmm.
So the happier you are, you don't have to worry about making other people happy because you're going to attract other people that are already happy because
Hmm.
they're going to match it's all going to match up. And if you're
Yeah,
happy trying to please everybody and it's making you unhappy, you're just going to attract unhappy people into your life and it just becomes a vicious circle.
very much so.
Yeah. That kind of reminds me of I wrote down, let's see. So I wrote, it's more productive to worry about improving ourselves instead of comparing ourselves to others. So actually, we kind of had the same take on that. Because I think I just agree 100% on that. Because if you're really so caught up in competing against other people, you're just going to make yourself miserable, because we're all very different people. We're all unique. We all have different karma. We all have different backgrounds. We all have different missions in this life. And you can't compare yourself to other people. All you can do is really compare yourself to what you were yesterday, so to speak.
Hmm.
And we should just, in my opinion, we should just work on improving ourselves.
Agreed,
Yeah, cool, cool. So, shall we move on?
for sure. So August 22nd says true happiness is found in accumulating the treasures of the heart, which cannot be destroyed by the dynamic unfolding events or passage of time. Um, so to me, what I got from that was that the memories and the feelings that you have in your heart is worth so much more than anything that's material. So I'll give you an example. I rather spend time and make memories with my parents instead of getting them a gift for their birthday. So we do like a birthday dinner. I'll take my parents out to dinner, and it's just an evening of just me with my parents because I'm not going to be able to have my parents around for the rest of my life. They're getting older. That's the way of life.
That's the way it is.
But I want to have those memories of my parents that I can tell my kids that that's how grandma was and that was how grandpa was. And nothing's going to take that away from me. No person is going to make me forget those memories and how I feel towards my parents when I get to sit there and have their undivided attention for an hour or two.
Yeah.
Uh, and honestly, I think that's what gets a lot of like military people who went through torture back in the days, having those memories of home and of their loved ones is what kept them going and brought them back home.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So in Buddhism, they say there's the three treasures. So there's the treasures of the storehouse, which would be like material things, cars, houses, that sort of thing. There's the treasures of the body, which would be like having good health,
Hmm.
and then the treasures of the heart. And definitely what you're talking about would definitely be one of those treasures. I've always thought of it as, um, again, things that don't go away. So the treasures of the heart in Buddhism are considered the most valuable. And
Mhm.
and there are things also like, compassion, you know, being able to have empathy, um, being able to be persistent, you know, just qualities like that, being able to be persistent in life, having confidence is any of these things that are not tangible, but they're valuable, you know.
Mhm.
So what did I write down? Confidence. I should have brought my glasses. But anyway, I think you get the idea.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't like my shiny things. I don't like my Jeeps. I don't like my house. No, I do, and I appreciate those. But take those away, I just don't care. I'd rather have the memories than, $150,000 ring.
Yeah.
I
So here's another concept in Buddhism. It's called inconspicuous and conspicuous benefits. So the conspicuous benefits are important. They're like the benefits of the storehouse and of the body too, because some people when they start this practice, they have bad health and they're trying desperately trying something that's going to help them, right? And we do
Mm,
have in our organization a lot of medical miracles that happen and things like that. And people's financial situations often improve. Mine certainly did when I started practicing. And those benefits, they are important because in our practice, it really helps to sort of seal your faith. It's like
mm,
when you start a practice like this, you're not doing it for no reason. You want to kind of see some result. And so those type of benefits, but again, so like you get a new job, and maybe it's the best job you ever had. That's what happened with me when I first started. But then a couple of years later, I lost the job, and I lost it because I was hot-headed, and I also lacked the courage to confront people and just express my honest feelings. So when I finally figured that out with some help from my mentors in this practice, that I needed to change my attitude, and I started confronting situations that made me feel uncomfortable. And over and over and over time, I got more confident. So that confidence has been huge in my life. I don't live, in fear of everything, like I
right.
used to. Like I used to be so fearful. And so that's an example of conspicuous. So that job was great, but the confidence of learning how to keep a job, by being more confident and straightforward, those are benefits that are way more long lasting.
Agreed.
Yeah. So do you think we covered that quote pretty good?
I think we did.
Cool. So yeah, so are we on number August 23rd?
We are.
Okay, let's hit that one.
August 23rd said sincere and earnest dialogue is the direct path to resolving issues. Um, that hit home for me because just being honest with me, if you don't like me, just tell me. I'd rather you just be honest and sincere and just say, hey, I don't like you, than lie and be a fake friend and never be there to support me, never be there for my lows and my highs. It's not going to end well if you lie to me, or be sarcastic. It's such an ick. It's an icky feeling when that happens. Uh,
Mhm.
and sometimes the lying and the sarcasticness, it can just make this situation just so much worse.
Kind of festers.
Yeah. Um, so I live my life through honesty. And I'll straight up tell you if I don't like you, I'm like, listen, I don't like you. You got bad juju. I don't want your bad juju in my life. And since I started being like that, my life has just been so much better just because I get rid of that fakeness. I get rid of the negativity, And it's just so much better. I'm like so much more at peace because I am honest and I am sincere than me be a fake friend and act like I like you and then be nasty when you're not in the room because I'm
You have
I'm
that pent-up
lying about the
anger.
friendship.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, but it does take courage to be honest with people, and
I 100% agree.
I've been, I've been a little bit of both, I won't lie. I've probably a lot of my life, I haven't had the courage to confront people about things that they were doing at that time, and then I let it go, and then I go home and I think about it, and it just festers, and then the next time you see them, you're kind of a little bit detached because you're still holding that little bit of grudge,
Mhm.
and it's just so much better. And the friendship is so much deeper and more authentic if you can do it right at the time. If somebody does something that you're not cool with, if you can just address it right away, and just be willing to lay things on the line. Look, I'm not cool with that, if that destroys the friendship, so be it,
Right.
but I'd rather keep the friendship. That's why I'm being honest with you. And people that I've done that with, for the most part, I don't have like tons of friends. I just have a few real good friends. But I've got those friends because, of just being more honest and just more
Yeah.
straightforward,
I mean, I may have only two or three very close friends, because of our honesty with each other. And I'd rather just have the two or three friends than have 50 friends that just don't like me and they're just pretending.
Yeah. Let's see if I wrote anything here. Oh yeah, so I wrote, you can imagine all these things that people might be thinking, and you're just like making all these assumptions sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then I found that it's helpful just like to just ask, you know,
100%.
what's going on? What are you thinking,
Yeah, 100%.
So good. What do you think about these quotes? They're pretty good, huh?
I like them. They make me think. And it's not just some stupid Pinterest live, love, laugh kind of stuff. It actually makes you think about like you and like what centers you.
This Daisaku Ikeda, he was quite a guy. I mean, he started practicing this Buddhism, I think when he was 19. There was two Japanese school teachers that started the organization, right? And the idea is that they took this Nichiren Buddhism, um, and they applied the concepts of compassion and service and things like that to the way they were teaching their students. And so, but then during World War II, the Japanese government says everybody has to convert to this religion called Shinto, where the
Mhm.
emperor of the country is revered as a god, a living god. So they were trying to like sort of brainwash everybody, consolidate everybody, and so that they would be willing to give their lives for their country. It was all
Mhm.
like this propaganda, which goes on all the time, even in our country. Um, but so, but they said, no, no, we're not gonna tell people to convert. We're gonna keep spreading our Buddhism because we believe in it. So they both got thrown in jail. Mr. Makaguchi and Mr. Toda got thrown in jail, and Mr. Makaguchi died in prison. Um, Mr. Toda got out a couple years later and started the organization again. The organization completely went into shambles. And then this young Daisaku Ikeda, whose quotes we're reading, he said, no, I believe in this guy, Mr. Toda. He went to prison for his beliefs, So they started this organization and, really spread it out all over Japan. And Mr. they went through some hard times because Mr. Toda's, all of his businesses collapsed, and they were,
Mm.
like eating in school cafeterias because that's the only thing they could afford and stuff.
Ugh.
But then, their Mr. Ikeda was a really hardworking guy. And anyway, so they built it up, and Mr. Toda homeschooled President Ikeda. I still call him President Ikeda, Ikeda Sensei, they call him now, but um, and he basically homeschooled him, right? Because he didn't have time to go finish college. And now President Ikeda, he got over 400 honorary degrees and doctorates from universities all over the world
That's amazing.
based on this homeschooling that he got. And it was always done on the fly. They were always on buses and trains visiting members and, encouraging people. And it was all, it's really amazing, isn't it?
It really is.
And so that's got a little background on Daisaku Ikeda. But
Very interesting.
yeah, so we got one more, I think, right?
2 more,
24th?
the 24th and the 25th.
Oh, and the 25th. Oh, okay.
So August 24th says a door to the new era is opened by young people. A steady stream of talented young people emerging and fully displaying their potential is essential to the ongoing development of organizations, societies, and nations. Um, I believe that the younger generation is going to be the future.
Yep, no doubt about it.
Not only, I'm not going to say they're the smartest, but they do make some really bad decisions. But the younger generation is not only trying to make the world a better place for them, but they're also making it a better place for the generation that comes after them. And I think that's something that has been going on for generations since, you know, right now it's equality for everyone. It's equality for, the trans, the bi, the lesbians, it's for everything because the older generation, they didn't get that. And, then when we had the slavery, it was equality for the slaveries, and it was the younger generation that fought for it. Um, so they're always thinking not just about themselves, but what they can do for the world and like how to better the world for the next generation and how, you know, they're going to fix this
They're trying,
corrupt
yeah.
system.
I think you're really onto something there. When you're younger, you're not jaded, you still have
Mhm.
ideals, and I think sometimes when people get older, they're comfortable in their jobs, and they get real comfortable with whatever position they have in life, and they start to defend those things and make compromises. You can really see that big time with some of these, multi-billionaires and stuff. They seem like they'll do anything to hold on to every last $1 billion that they have. Is like destroy the environment, crush the worker. There's so many
Mhm.
people that don't even, it's like such a tiny fraction of the world's working population that even receives a living wage.
Yeah.
It's like, and these billionaires, I mean, and it's not to say that I'm any better. Who knows what I would be if I was in their position, But I'm just saying it's a kind of like a human flaw to be greedy. In fact, in Buddhism, they say the 3 poisons are greed, anger, and foolishness. And that's kind
Yeah.
of just all the problems of the world stem from that. But no, we are counting on the younger generation to, you know, hopefully fix some of the stuff that we've screwed up. And I think that's why, President Ikeda and Mr. Toda, they wanted to start a school system. And that's what they did. In Japan, the Soka school system is kindergarten through 12th grade, and they have it all over Japan. And they're teaching these values, like what we've been talking about. And then there's this Soka University in Japan, and there's one here in Southern California. And it's been around for about 20 years now. It gets very high marks, for whoever rates colleges, but it's a liberal arts college, and they're constantly churning out these people that believe in, protecting the environment, equal rights for people, you know, against racism and all these good things. So, that's a big mission of the Soka Gakkai is their main focus is peace, culture, and education.
And I think they're on the right path.
Well, thank you. So you had one more. I didn't realize I had given you another quote.
Yes, you gave me August 25th, and it says the first and foremost quality of a leader is to be able to recognize people's struggles and effort. Um, I think to be a leader is to see that everyone is doing their best, no matter what percentage they're giving. It could be 1%, it could be 50%. You don't know what they're going through. And if that 1% is them doing their best, that should be enough. I think a lot of people demand perfection, and we're not perfect. We are never going to be perfect. We are human. We struggle, and on my bad days, I give out 1% or maybe even 5%. And you know what? That's okay. But as long as you pick yourself up and say, you know what, I gave 1% today, well, maybe tomorrow I'll give 2%. And I think a good leader sees that and embraces that and says, you are enough. I'm not demanding perfection.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna laugh at this, but what came to my mind is, like you see these people that can take animals, like a dog trainer or something, and they make them do these incredible things, right? Do
Mhm.
backflips, and they'll have 20 dogs on podiums just standing, like it's miraculous. I can't even get my dog to sit hardly, and they don't do it by reprimanding the dog. It's
I do it
constant
by praising.
by praising and rewarding. And that's what a good leader does is they nurture people, they bring out the best in people, and they build teams, and it's not by putting people down, it's by bringing people up.
Yeah.
So
Namyo Renge Kyo, Namyo Renge Kyo, Namyo Renge Kyo.